Hi there, welcome to Frames Team. Let's talk about something that everyone is talking about, AI. Everyone is scared that it's going to change the way we live. It probably will. It is a GPT, so it's probably going to have far-reaching impact in how we live and how we do things. But there is one issue about what we love: photography, filmmaking, this whole creative aspect. There's a lot of conversation on how it's going to make a lot of people go completely irrelevant because now AI is here. And let me tell you, because I'm in the advertising and marketing industry, I can see some of those things take place. But where AI is finding relevance in the corporate world right now is where you have a lot of work to be done, but it's fairly low quality, fairly low skill work. For example, social media posts, and you need to, let's say, push out 3 posts in a day, basic GIFs, GIF or GIFs, however we call it, or static posts, or basic videos with minimal sort of narrative in them. That's where, and you need to churn out a lot of them. So for a brand that has for a company that has, let's say, 5 brands, they need 50 such things in a day. Okay. And so that's where these AI engines can help the creative team and the team, whoever is working with the photographers. Maybe they're going to take a real picture, a real photo shoot image, and then they're going to build a layout around that image, and that layout is not going to be done through an actual photo shoot. You're just going to place the product in a made up background, the made up character. Made up meaning they're all generated through AI. Now, but that is one area where I'm seeing AI being applied. But I think the non-human element of the whole process, people don't trust it much. You have strange figures, you have strange bodies, you have imperfections. You just know that it's fake. Okay, so for fairly low budget jobs, AI is making some inroads in some marketing jobs, in some communication jobs. Beyond that, I see that there is serious bottlenecks to how much can AI replace photography and filmmaking. And I mean it. I'm very serious about it. And I'm not coming from a place of, let's say, insecurity. I'm coming from a place of understanding how the world is, how human beings are. Ultimately, whatever you make, it's not going to be consumed by machines, right? It's going to be consumed by human beings. And it's precisely because it's finally going to be consumed by some human being, the impact of something that's real, that's something that comes from a real human intervention, is always going to look and feel different from what's been done by a machine. And I'm going to tell you of a few points. I have about 5 points, but there are a couple of additional points on top of the 5 points. And I'm going to go through them one by one. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Frames Team. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you're been here for a few times before, subscribe and help me push this channel to 6,000. That's my first goal. I would like to achieve that within a month. So if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this conversation, do subscribe and like this video. First of all, the first point is that there is this diminished human interaction and resultantly a diminished storytelling opportunity. What do I mean by diminished human interaction? From street photography to any human subject photography, the magic happens during the moment when the shooting really happens, and it is a few people, a couple of people at least, interacting, right? It's a model, or it's a mother, or it's a kid, or it's someone, it's a bride, or it's a bride and groom, or it's the family and the photographer and the filmmaker and the people who are holding the light or handling the audio. So there is this organic human interaction that takes place where there's this opportunity of asking someone to smile differently, do things differently. The photographer gets into the skin of the characters and understand who these people really are. And then they apply their craft to that moment, and then something magical happens. Well, eventually, it may not happen every time with all photographers or all subjects, but it happens with especially the good ones. So good photography happens because of this human interaction. And that when you try to replace that with AI, you're not going to have that story, you're not going to have that experience and memory, and you're not going to have that outcome. Because nothing can actually replace an actual experience. Whether it's a model or a photographer, that human experience is real. AI generated photos may lack that genuine emotion and authenticity captured through human experience and connection, resulting in images that feel manufactured or devoid of true meaning. The essence of photography lies in the human experience, therefore, and stories behind each image, each picture that you remember. You remember that day, and this is how it happened, this is how she got dressed or they got ready. So I think somewhat AI photography, just sitting behind the computer and then writing some prompts, I think it diminishes that role of human interaction. It almost kills it at sometimes. And therefore the storytelling, it strips away the depth of that experience. And that's, I think, the first reason why in a lot of scenarios, AI is not a replacement at all. It's not even an add-on. Now, related to that is this whole idea of, that's my second point, enhanced lived experience versus just pure fakeness. You may say that AI was always there, that photo manipulation is nothing but an earlier version of AI. But there's a major difference. When someone takes a picture of you doing something and then improves on that image to make you look your best, what is happening is a lived reality is getting enhanced, is becoming reimagined. But when I write a prompt and the AI engine spits out a picture of you riding a particular horse that you never knew, and you never actually, you know, met that horse in real life, you know it has no actual basis. And therefore, the value of that picture is just not the same. Also, know this, you will never be a good enough prompter to exactly prompt a passionate moment in life faithfully enough to a machine. You can't do that. Third point, limitations in adaptability and context. AI algorithms operate based on predefined parameters and databases which may struggle to adapt to a diverse context or unpredictable scenarios going forward. Photography encompasses a wide range of subjects, different people thinking differently, feeling differently, trying different things. AI systems may encounter a lot of challenges in consistently delivering high quality results across all scenarios going forward because, you know, which brings me to my third point, stagnation of innovation. AI was taught what it knows today. And the last big reason, AI photography is essentially based on algorithms that were taught what a cat looks like by showing it thousands of cats. So far it was easy to get the rights to train the AI system and the machines by using that content, right? Now that the AI is here and it's a big serious business, everyone is going to be very serious about the rights of those contents that companies use to train their AI. Real photographers with new ideas, with new creations will say, wait a second, you cannot actually take my photo and feed that to a machine and ask it to spit out a similar image inspired by what I have made. Whatever I have made took me 20 years to get there. So there will be a conversation of rights relating to all the literature, all the conversation, all the news, all the pictures, all the videos that is actually used to train those AI machines. And therefore, I think it's going to get costlier and costlier to keep matching the pace with which human creativity and innovation will move forward. And therefore, for a lot of areas, your the AI machines will not probably update themselves. And let me tell you, it's going to happen. It is going to happen. I just think that, of course, many people shoot with phones, and immediately, Apple or Google have some sort of right to those photos that you're shooting with their own devices or their softwares. So I think a conversation needs to begin where people say, listen, if you are using that relates to us, that uses our creativity, that uses our efforts to train your machine, you can't do that unless you pay us money. And imagine, you need to give trillions of data points to these language models. And when you need to do that, it's not going to be easy. It's going to become very, very expensive in my view. Now, the next point is very interesting. How do you really know a good photographer versus a bad photographer or an average photographer or a filmmaker. How do you know that? You know that because you have a sense of the work they produce. And you know, just by looking at the work, okay, this is a shot taken by probably Ansel Adams. I'm just using a name here. Or this is a film that looks like made by, what's that director's name? I'm going to write his name somewhere. Or this director's name. How do you make that difference? Because you know that they have a certain style, okay, and they are going to be authentic. They are going to be true to the stuff they make, and they have reached there by years of experience, and so they have had a stylistic journey. So every good photographer, filmmaker, or artist eventually develops a style. AI doesn't know where you are as an artist right now. Let's say you're trying to write a prompt and then develop yourself as a visual artist, right? AI doesn't know at what point of a journey you are at. It doesn't know. It can only copy from what it has seen. You think it is actually giving you a picture of what you had imagined, but not really. You're just writing something. It's recreating something based on what you have written, but it's really its own interpretation. It's not what you would have done. If you could be a painter, or you could be a composer, you have to understand that right now we are all fascinated by whatever the AI spits out because it's so new to us. It's like the child when the child starts speaking and we all go like, hey, look, he said mama, he said dad. Well, that's not a massive achievement, is it? You're fascinated because the child could do that. It's fascinating to you because you think the child cannot. He or she is so helpless. Similarly, when you look at the AI systems right now, you think, oh, it's so basic, it's so rudimentary. How can it? It's just a machine. It's just a software. It's just a computer. What does it know about creativity or interpretation? But it does. And at this point, you're wowed by it. But when you really have a vision in your mind and you write a prompt, you become go to the best prompt engineer. You have a vision in your mind, you write a prompt, or maybe better even, you take a picture, you show that picture to the prompt engineer and say, hey, listen, do a prompt and ensure that the AI reproduces exactly this. And you'll start seeing the difference because you see in business, that's how it works. Your client wants exactly what the client wants. It doesn't want some random interpretation of something that the client is saying. The client wants a very specific interpretation. And the client is most often when the client is choosing a photographer, filmmaker, they're choosing because they know the style, they know the narrative style, they know the pictorial style, the visual style, and therefore they're making a conscious choice. In AI, that's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because AI does not know what style means, because style is so personal, because style changes from season to season, mood to mood, situation to situation. So I think as much as authenticity is a problem, at the same time, I think inconsistency, sense of style, sense of genre, these are serious challenges when it comes to AI. And I think that's where it's going to be nearly impossible to actually replicate that with AI and not take real human help to do the real job. So, in addition to that last point, I must also add, and these are the additional points, cultural and aesthetic preferences. There are many nuances that you as a human being know because of your experiences. Like countries are so different. I come from this wonderful country called India, and here, every 100 kilometers you go, things change. People change, the language changes, dresses change, how the look changes, how the speak changes. It's incredible, right? It's such a the world is so checkered dappled. It is confusing. So there is right now all the AIs will have bias, and they will always have bias. They'll always have bias. A few days back when this, I think somewhere in US, a ship actually wrecked a bridge, and it was a disaster. and we got to know that all the crew member in the ship, not the pilot of the ship but the crew member of the ship, they were all Indians. And then of course there were people who trolled Indians. They were they have a nice time of the day, and they're just being a little racist on that particular day. And they created these AI images. They look like Indians from probably what, 1500s. That's not how Indians look. But uh, probably that was done to denigrate Indians. But at the same time, I think that AI's systems are created by a certain type of people with a certain kind of worldview. It could be they could be feeding the system with lots of images and reference points, but for it to become authentic, for it to be know the cultural nuances, it's gonna take tremendous amount of effort to actually get to that amount of detail. And therefore, again, that's not a threat to photography. And lastly, I have a simple point. AI photography is not photography to begin with. Photography is the art of painting with light. Writing a prompt is just not that. If you're new, subscribe. If you like this video, then like. I'm going to see you soon with another one.